Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, amusingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Wednesday, April 26th, 2023. This is live stream 915. Give me a 5 slap. If this is your first time joining me, let me point out, super casual around here. We're just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and we will normally take a first look at a game. So we are not engaging in rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. Just hanging around, having some fun. And tonight, we are going to dive on in and take a peek at the hardcover edition of Pathfinder, Fists of the Ruby Phoenix from Paizo Inc. This is the 3-chapter adventure path collected in one hardcover volume. And I think there are some adjustments that have been made to this as well, as opposed to the 3-part adventure path that came out, I think it was a couple of years ago. It's been a while. Anywho, that is what is on our agenda tonight. So I will mention, if you are tuning in because you want to check out Fists of the Ruby Phoenix, it'll probably be about 35, maybe 40 minutes before we jump on into that first look, because around here we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first. So if you're watching live, kick up your feet, relax, enjoy. It's hump day. Happy hump day. You're halfway to the weekend. And hopefully you are a subscriber to the channel, because then there's something else that you can occupy your time with as well. But of course, when you're sitting back after this show ends, 30 minutes or more after this show ends, you can jump past the tabletop gaming news. There are timestamps available. They are in the show notes. So if you are impatient and you just gotta get to that first look, you know what I mean. There are timestamps, so you can hop on past the tabletop gaming news. Now, depending on what device you happen to be watching this on, those timestamps might be right there in the timeline of the video, right under your nose. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you will not find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Of course, this is a live stream, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel. Remember, I mentioned if you're a subscriber, you'd have something to occupy your time. And you have to be a subscriber for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. Yet another way I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, maybe there's something about Fists of the Ruby Phoenix you want to get a closer look at, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. So first out the gate tonight was Mark Dandy How about that? Mark Danny, first time out the gate ahead of everybody else. For some reason, I had like a little hair or something. I'm like bridge of my nose. I'm like, what is it? Where did that come from? Kathy Evans is with us, as is Stray Kismet. Melwinius from York has joined us, as has Disavow 92. John Mascola is also hanging out, pointing out that there's a lot of tabletop gaming news today. I've got a couple of those news pieces. One of them broke a little late, and we are already looking at something from Paizo tonight. So I don't like to double dip with doing a first look and a news piece from the same company, but I will mention it. And then I will have an article on thegaminggang.com tomorrow regarding the news item, because it is pretty big news, at least in my opinion. I think it is. So let's jump on into the news, because I've got a nice eclectic mix this evening. First off, Canadian board game company Randolph, who I am not familiar with, and Hachette Board Games will be releasing the family title Miller Zoo this summer. And here's what I know. Miller Zoo is the cooperative family game where you play as the team in charge of running one of Canada's most interesting zoos. Your job is to work together to take care of your zoo's animals and to welcome new ones to their new home. Like a team, everybody plays together at the same time to overcome challenges, unexpected situations, and crises. Play as the real Miller Zoo team and meet all the animals' needs before the card stack is empty. The game follows 4 steps in order: dawn, morning, afternoon, and evening. At dawn, each teammate draws a card, or draws a hand, I should say, of 4 resource cards. In the morning, each teammate draws a need card and places problem tokens on the animals according to the cards. In the afternoon, all teammates are free to play their cards in any order. And in the evening, the team will have to manage crises according to the problems that could not be solved during the afternoon. And then at midnight, you're all fired. No, okay, that phase really doesn't exist. The game also contains 6 envelopes to discover with new animals, new challenges in order to make the game evolve. Miller Zoo is for 1 to 6 players, ages 8 and up. Plays in around 45 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $34.99 when it arrives in stores this July. Well. Looks interesting. Definitely like the art style. Looks like it's got a nice table presentation. So kind of cool. And I like the fact that all the players work together as a team. And it seems as if when you get into that sort of problem-solving phase, that you work together to discuss what order you're going to play your cards. So it's not as if it's like, oh, well, Jimmy goes first and then Janie goes second. It might be, well, Jimmy's got a card that'll work if Janie plays her card after that card. So it sounds kind of cool. Nice cooperative game. So once again, Miller Zoo, and it has nothing to do with my best friend, Elliot Miller, is going to arrive in July carrying an MSRP of $34.99. Next month is going to see the release of Yucatan from Matagot and Asmodee. Here's the dope. In Yucatan, you are the leader of a Mayan city. You have promised your people to win the favors of the gods, and their fate is in your hands. Send your warlords to capture enemies. Increase your might with every season of the sacred calendar, and sacrifice your prisoners to the Mayan gods to ensure your dominance. This is not a family game. Your warlords will become more and more formidable, your city more and more glorious. but your opponents do the same. So enlisting the help of the mythological creatures and heroes will be necessary to try to restore with blood the energy of your gods. In this game, your goal is to capture prisoners, and the Yucatan Peninsula is your playground. Prepare for 4 seasons of fierce fighting. At the end of each season, you will ritually sacrifice captured enemies to gain reputation. But be careful, because the gods are demanding. Each of your sacrifices must be more glorious than the last. Each decision matters in the subtle balance required to make your city the glorious and eternal sanctuary of the mighty Mayan gods. Boy, they sure like using the word glorious in this. Yucatan is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up. Plays around 45 to 60 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $90 when it hits stores in May. I have to say, this sounds unique. I'm kind of surprised where it's like, oh, well, you know, you're sacrificing sacrificing your enemies to the gods. That is the big aspect of gameplay. And one thing I will mention is a $90 game that plays in 45 to 60 minutes. I don't know. We are looking at the contents of just the base box there. I don't know, $90 seems pretty pricey. Now, this was a successful Kickstarter, and it is from a game designer who has released some cool stuff in the past. But I also had noticed that there were some add-ons of like different creatures and that with miniatures. I don't know. To me, it's feeling a little pricey for what it seems the game is. I mean, it's like, I think there's like 9 miniatures, 9-ish miniatures that are included with this. I don't know. I do not know, but it does sound pretty unique. So I thought I would share it in tonight's news portion of the show. Let's talk about some role-playing game news, because as John had pointed out, there is a lot tabletop role-playing game news tonight. First off, Modiphius Entertainment has announced a new role-playing game. It is on the horizon. And here's what they've let us know about Dreams and Machines. Modiphius Entertainment proudly announced the latest original fictional world of Dreams and Machines that you can dive into later this year. An original setting created by Chris Birch will have tabletop gaming built into its core as we introduce you to the world of Dreams and Machines through an RPG starter set playable straight out of the box at Gen Con in August 2023. Then later, we'll release a fully supported role-playing game line and build on the success of Fallout, Wasteland Warfare, and the Elder Scrolls Call to Arms with a miniature skirmish game. Dreams and Machines is a dangerous and exciting far future world that is still filled with hope and optimism, and we've brought together a diverse team of creators to help bring that world to life. They'll be helping us create stories on Evira Prime, and with the RPG, you'll be able to tell stories of your own. We're so excited to explore Dreams and Machines with you. Set on a far-flung planet cut off from Earth, left in ruins after a war with destructive mechs, now known as Wakers, Evira Prime will be yours to travel and discover. You'll scavenge incredibly advanced technology from abandoned facilities and megacities to form a new life, help your community, and stop threats from Wakers rising and rampaging across Evira's surface. Play archivists, dreamers, or spears, and rebuild the world in your own way, growing and trading with Eviran communities. But in the shadows, a malevolent, corrupted AI known only as the Builder, that's actually ChatGPT, plots against humanity, and it'll be up to you and your friends to uncover its grand schemes and protect those you know and love from its machinations. Dreams and Machines will arrive on August 3rd. Yes. I will take a stab in the dark that we will get an opportunity to check this out, and I will do my best to arrange an interview with some of the team with Modiphius Entertainment. I know it's been a while since I actually had an opportunity to chat with anybody from Modiphius Entertainment. I think it's been about 3 years. And it's been a little bit longer since I had an opportunity to talk with Chris Birch. So we shall see. But now things are pretty ironed out, I would say, with Modiphius Entertainment, as we have seen some review stuff show up. So like I said, I think we should be able to set something up for Gen Con. Nice. Coco B and Flaming Huron are hanging with the gang. Coco B said, yep, they're just giving a listen as they drive the mean streets. They're hanging out with Beretta. Yeah, Starsky and Hutch, Beretta, Coco B, they're all hanging. They're all hanging together. And of course, Flaming Huron's one of our chat moderators from across the pond. As you can see, Modiphius Entertainment has its own website for Dreams and Machines as well. They just launched that. So let's move on to another big TTRPG news piece, because pre-orders have begun for the latest supplement to Alien the Role-Playing Game from Free League Publishing. Here's the skinny on Building Better Worlds. All the wonder and danger of the stars is yours, if you can just wipe the grime off your face and dig the dirt out from under your fingernails first. Airless moons circle swirling gas giants, eager to be transformed into tomorrow's paradise. Dark ancient mysteries wait to be unearthed beneath a millennium of debris. Searing solar flares boil your flesh and blacken your bones as you harness their power to light 100 worlds. Long-lost mysteries lie entombed in the frozen hearts of icy comets. Unstable tectonic plates shift to drown iridium mines in scalding lava. Even the truth of humanity's origins awaits you out there, orbiting some dying star. And out there, amongst it all, is something truly horrifying, something that nature never intended, something alien. Building Better Worlds is a complete campaign module, giving you all the tools needed to run a full open-world campaign as a pioneering explorer or colonist. Building Better Worlds contains the history of colonization, the story of humanity's reach for the stars, creating explorers and colonists, which will expand character creation rules for life on the frontier. There's Gear and Ships, which is an extensive chapter with, you guessed it, new gear and spaceships, gloriously illustrated. I guess that's our theme tonight. Everything is glorious. It's glorious. There's the extrasolar species catalog with new xenomorphic creatures to encounter. There's also the Lost Worlds, the framework and backstory for a frontier campaign, as well as expeditions. 6 thrilling expeditions into uncharted space, playable in any order, as well as the end game, which is the final showdown with everything at stake. You want to keep in mind, the Alien role-playing game core rulebook, or I guess I should say Alien the role-playing game's core rulebook, because that is officially its name, is required in order to play Building Better Worlds. Now, right now, you can pre-order Building Better Worlds for an MSRP of $41.45. Yes, it's one of those kind of oddball Free League Publishing prices, which leads me to believe that the MSRP of the book is probably in the neighborhood of $44.99. It's kind of my guess, but you can pre-order it for $41.45, which does include the PDF. And if you pre-order, you will receive the PDF as soon as it's ready. And that's something that we do see from Free League Publishing quite often. The actual physical book is planned for an October release, just in time for Halloween. Get some Alien the role-playing game action in for Halloween. Yes, very nice. So Christopher Rush and Chuck Terrell are both in chat. Welcome to you both. Christopher says, I want stats on the BS Bull Alien from the 90s series of action figures. Yes. Flaming Heron mentions that you got to give kudos to Free League Publishing because they continue to support the Alien RPG. Yes, they do. And let's be honest, the releases for Alien have been good. I can count, I think, on one hand. And now, keep in mind, it's not as if I've seen everything that comes out from Free League, but I get an opportunity to review a good amount of the Free League Publishing releases. And I think I could count the ones that just I thought were like, on one hand, on a few fingers, easily enough, because for the most part, usually we get some awesome stuff from Free League Publishing. Blade Runner is really, really well done. Alien the role-playing game, really, really well done. Symborum, Ruins of Symborum, excellent. And of course, we do have Adventures in Middle-earth 4-5e on the horizon. It's arriving next month, so keep that in mind. Alrighty, on to our last news piece, available now in print and PDF from our friends over at Arc Dream Publishing, comes Delta Green from the Dust. Here's the scoop. Gorgo, Mormo, Thousand-Faced Moon. The Garretson Mansion, built in Red Hook in 1847, stands covered by scaffolding and plastic tarps in its slow metamorphosis into condominiums. A capable construction crew has the goodwill of neighbors, but when the day's work ends, something stirs in the darkness. Soft voices whisper, weird footprints linger. Children of Red Hook have begun to vanish. Delta Green takes an interest. The Garretson Mansion did not always have that name. Your agents must investigate the 3 most recent disappearances and strange reports from the Garretson Mansion. If some unnatural horror is at work, they must find a way to stop it. The moon darkens, fears gather. The infants of Red Hook are hardly the only ones at risk. From the Dust is a complete scenario for Delta Green, the role-playing game of Lovecraftian horror and conspiracy. It is playable with the full rules in the Agent's Handbook or the quick start rules in Delta Green Need to Know, which of course are all available from Arc Dream Publishing. The 34-page softcover of Delta Green from the Dust is available as a print on demand for $19.99, or you can grab just the PDF at Drive-Thru RPG for $4.99. Scary kids, scary. I am curious, though. We're going to wait till the cover swings back around here because I'm wondering if the creature that's on the cover is supposed to be, isn't it Brown Jenkins? Isn't that the rat thing's name in Tales from the Witch House? Isn't that it? Brown Jenkins. That is a super creepy story, too. Especially the ending. I remember, I think it was Masters of Horror they did. Wasn't it? I think his name was Brian Yaksa, who did all the, like, Reanimator and From Beyond, the Lovecraft adaptations from, like, the 80s. That were actually pretty decent. I don't know, From Beyond was a little weird. A little too kinky for my personal taste as a kid or as a teenager. I don't necessarily like kink with my horror. It's just, yeah, me, how I operate. But yes. Plus, Red Hook, right? One of the, if not the most racist short story that Lovecraft wrote. Horror at Red Hook. And I guess we can understand why. Seeing that he was living in, I think it was Brooklyn. I think he was in Brooklyn. He wasn't far from Red Hook. Because Red Hook is a real place. It's a real area of New York. And he hated living there, and he hated the apartment that he had, and he couldn't stand his neighbors, and he had been robbed. So there you go. There you go. So Christopher Rush's, yeah, that dominatrix scene in From Beyond was out of nowhere. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Where it's sort of like, what? I mean, we had the head scene in Reanimator, which was pretty bizarre too. But that was really to like freak you out. That dominatrix scene, I don't know what that was all about. So, Christopher also points out, yes, it is Brown Jenkins. That's what I thought its name was. Yes. So, Kevin R. Smith is with us. We've had a few people pop on in. Agent Espacial is also with us. And Anthony Good has joined the gang tonight. So we got a nice chat off and running. Kevin says they vaguely remember From Beyond. Seems like it was on HBO a lot in the 80s. It probably was. I got to be honest, I've only seen it once. I have only seen From Beyond once. So, strangely enough, I can't say that a lot of the adaptations of H.P. Lovecraft stories have been well done. So I got to admit, okay, I love Reanimator, but that's more Jeffrey Combs than anything else. So, there is that. But I honestly think that somebody, now, just like I started watching Cabinet of Curiosities, which I think is kind of bizarre because there's a podcast called Cabinet of Curiosities that Aaron Menke does, the guy who does Lore, which is an excellent podcast. Listen to it all the time. I have for years. And I thought it was very strange that it was like, okay, so Del Toro is going to call his show Cabinet of Curiosities, huh? Okay. But I started watching Pickman's Model. I haven't finished it. I was like, I just didn't care for the adaptation of it. And I get it. I understand. You can play around with the story. You don't have to, repeat it verbatim. But still, it seemed a little bit off. So Kevin was also asking if there were any opinions on the Pathfinder 2nd Edition remaster or Wizards of the Coast and Pinkertons. So the Pathfinder news, that is the news that broke a little later. And as I mentioned, we are already taking a look at Fists of the Ruby Phoenix. So I don't like to double dip. I don't like to do news pieces for publishers we're looking at a game from. But there is going to be a remaster of second edition, and it is going to be 4 books. 4 Pathfinder books. I will have a news piece about this on thegaminggang.com tomorrow because it is a pretty big news piece. And we are looking at a player's guide, game master's guide, a monster book. And I think Kevin will probably help me out with this. I think the 4th book is a treasure book. But supposedly, there is supposed to be a lot of new material, that there's going to be material in these books that are from some of the other supplements. We shall see. I was kind of surprised by that. And then, on the other hand, I wasn't all that surprised by that because of how quickly they sold out during the open game license fiasco. They sold out of, 8 months supply of the core rulebook in 3 weeks. And they had to race out and get another print run going. So I mean, I can kind of understand it. I can also understand it because that core rulebook clocks in at over 600 pages off the top of my head. And it is, thankfully, my copy has held up because I don't really, refer to it a ton. But I could see something like that just not holding up. So I can kind of understand where they're like, okay, well, we're going to have 4 new books. They don't want to come out with a brand new edition. So, and as John points out, it's all going to be under the Orc license. So Kevin says the 4th book is the Player Core 2. Thank you. It's kind of a revamped advanced player's guide. Anthony says, yes, they got tired of reading the core book because it is so thick. All right, so the other thing is the Wizards of the Coast Pinkerton detective story, which I will address in just a minute, but do want to mention, I was wrapping up the news there, was talking about drive-through RPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, drive-through RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, what have you, please stop by thegaminggang.com. First, click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, better be giving it a thumbs up. But if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always swing on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And thankfully, there are a lot of folks out there who use the banner ads and or visit paypal.me. So thank you very much, everybody. It is much appreciated because it helps keep the lights on with the website. That is for certain. Okay. I do not know the entire story about the Pinkertons and Wizards of the Coast, so I can only provide you what I have kind of stumbled across. And I know that there are outlets out there who are blowing this out of proportion from what I understand. Now, I'm not saying this isn't some effed up stuff. Hold on. I'm not saying that. But there are some folks out there who I have encountered talking about how the Pinkerton agents were threatening this person's life and his family's lives. And it's sort of like, I don't think that took place. So from my understanding, there's somebody out there, they are a big Magic the Gathering fan, and I think they have a YouTube channel. And they had placed an order for the most recent of the releases for Magic the Gathering because, you know, if it's a day that ends in Y, there's a new Magic the Gathering release. So anyway, so it was like the newest one, and the titles are very similar between what just came out and the next release that's coming out, because I guess it builds on this previous release that's already out. So he places an order for it, and the retailer that he placed the online order through sent him the wrong Magic the Gathering release. They sent the one that's not out yet. So, like most folks who have a channel, figure, well, hell, man, I'm going to shoot some content because I got this early, right? Just like I always talk about when Wizards of the Coast releases a new D&D book. I do my damnedest to get the video out there, if we do a live first look, what have you. If it shows up and I don't have a live show that day, I still shoot the video because it's important to get that coverage out there sooner rather than later. And from my personal experience, just getting the newest D&D book out and having coverage out there on the channel the day it comes out counts for thousands more views than if I waited an extra day. So I understand where this person would have been coming from. Now, this is where I kind of lose the story because I have heard a few different things. So on one hand, I heard a story where the person who got these Magic the Gathering cards hadn't even shared coverage of them, but they were online talking about that they were shooting video, and maybe they shared an image or something. And Wizards of the Coast found out about it and brought the Pinkerton agency on board. And I know a lot of people out there were sort of like, the Pinkertons are still around? I knew they were. They've been around since prior, well, I guess they were considered Pinkerton agents during the American Civil War. Alan Pinkerton at the time. And let me take a look here because I think Kevin's sharing some of the news here. Christopher says that people are blowing it up bigger than it is. Still a bad time, though. Bad move by WotC. What else is new? It's like, who the fuck runs that company? I mean, come on. I won't be surprised if their CEO gets the boot. Will not be surprised that their CEO in the next 2-3 months out the door, because since they came on board, it has been nothing but bad news. So Kevin says, I'm not sure why they used the Pinkertons when their intention seems to have been take the cards back, swap them for the set. They ordered. What did Fleming Heron say? They heard it was just the boxes were newer ones, but the cards were the correct ones. Kevin points out that's not what they had heard, that he did actually spoil the cards on the air. See, wasn't aware of that. However, it was only probably a week or so before they started doing official previews. Right, so from my understanding, Wizards of the Coast contacted the Pinkerton agency to ask them to retrieve these cards. So, okay. And if you know anything about Pinkertons, you know, getting the Pinkertons involved may not always be the best move. So there are things Pinkerton Agency has done. Kudos to them as far as law enforcement and things like that. There are other things that Pinkerton Agency has done that is below board and reprehensible in history. So I'll leave you to go discover these things. But I guess we should be thankful that they didn't throw a smoke bomb into this guy's house, because that certainly didn't work out well for the James family. So Flaming Heron says, I don't know why they didn't just strike the guy's videos to make him take the video down. It's a little more difficult, I think, for a company to actually do that, because it's really not copyright infringement, because it's fair use. I don't know. So anyway, so the story becomes that the Pinkertons show up at this guy's house, and I guess the guy is shooting video. So the Pinkertons are talking to his wife, and they're threatening her, and she goes and gets him, and I guess he's got little kids, and supposedly there were a lot of threats going on to get these cards back. So that is what I have heard. Like I said, it's not something that I delved very deeply into. I've been seeing stuff on Twitter about it. But like I said, I saw some tweets where people were saying, oh, the Pinkertons were threatening this guy's wife's life. That I'm not seeing. I'm not buying that. Threatening them with legal action and having them arrested, yeah, I could see that. But not threatening their lives over fucking Magic the Gathering cards. Come on. So Christopher says the dumb thing, it was creating hype. This guy's channel was getting everyone excited about the surprise reveal. Flaming Heron says, all this does is make more bad blood between Wizards of the Coast and whatever fans they seem to have left. Agent Especial says, hilarious Pinkerton, I suppose. Dunno. Do not know. But the weird thing is, it wasn't Wizards of the Coast. Coat. Yeah, Wizard of the Coast. That's my new company. It wasn't even Wizards of the Coast's error that put those cards in that guy's hands. It was the retailer. So Flaming Heron says, well, they really had no legal standing to do anything. Now, without warrants, the police would have to become involved in it eventually. See, that's what I'm curious about. I don't know what sort of authority Pinkerton agents have nowadays. I would take a guess somewhere along the lines of a private investigator or private detective. So, but then again, I would think PIs, their authority level is probably less than it was, say, in the early part of the 20th century, mid part of the 20th century. So I do not know. So Agent Especial said, so at least they weren't filled with bullet holes. Yeah, there you go. That'd be a collector's item. Hey, I got these magic cards. They're not out yet. And there's blood and bullet holes. Do you want to enjoy them? So Nero's Fiddle has popped on in. So the only thing they know about the Pinkertons is they make great villains in Deadlands. Like I said, the Pinkerton Agency has done some fantastic things as far as law enforcement and assisting law enforcement. But there are some god-awful things take a look at the work they did breaking strikes and against the workers of the world. Wasn't it international workers of the world? Pinkertons were known to kill strikers. So, okay, maybe I shouldn't say that because I don't need anybody like hitting me up with a defamation suit. Wait a second, who's at the door? We hear you're talking shit about our agency. So that's all I heard. So I apologize because, I say it all the time. I don't delve too deeply into some of these controversies that pop up, mainly because I just don't have time. I'm usually working on stuff for the website, for the show, for the channel, what have you. And I don't, if it's a toss up between reading some story that's floating around online about some nonsense Wizards of the Coast is up to and getting a review done, I will stick to doing the review. Malvinia says, Jeff, swatted. I got to be honest, that does worry me a little bit. And if you are a live streamer, it should worry you a little bit because we've talked about it before, there are some fucking weirdos out there. So, all right. Anyway, so Kevin says they probably know more about this controversy because their YouTube feed has been full of it. Yeah, I'm sure if I did a video, I'd get a few thousand views. But once again, what am I going to do? Oh, yeah, well, this is kind of sort of what I heard. I would just be as bad as everybody else out there who's not got the, straight dope about what really happened. Alrighty then. So as I mentioned, tonight we are going to be taking a look at Pathfinder, Fists of the Ruby Phoenix from Paizo Inc. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Hello. What would you say if you had to describe the taste of a ripe strawberry or a sizzling steak? Impossible, of course. It just can't be done. It's the same with trying to describe the matchless flavor of Schlitz beer. Instead, suppose we listen to a few things people say about the taste of the world's best-loved beer.
Unlike olives, you don't have to learn to like Schlitz. Its clean, refreshing taste wins you from the very first sip. If you like beer, you'll love Schlitz.
At last, a beer that tastes as good as it looks. And it not only tastes good, there's no unwelcome aftertaste. If you like beer, you'll love Schlitz.
Schlitz is dry without being bitter. Like it says in the ad, it's brewed with just the kiss of the hops. Yes, if you like beer, you'll love Schlitz.
Yes, that's right, friends. Everywhere you go, people say good things about the taste of Schlitz. If you travel a lot, you'll find that the matchless flavor of Schlitz never varies. Always uniform, always mellow, and good no matter where you buy it. But of course, you still have to taste Schlitz yourself to find out how really good and agreeable to your taste a beer can be. No wonder Schlitz is the beer that made Milwaukee famous. If you like beer, you'll love Schlitz. So enjoy Schlitz soon, won't you? And now, back to our Schlitz Playhouse of Stars.
Did you put a note in that bottle last week?
Sure I did.
What'd you say?
I said send us more Wilkins coffee.
Hey, it's Hasbro. Hasbro makes toys. What's new, Hasbro?
Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head with their own cars and trailers. That's what's new. See, Mr. Potato Head has a car and boat trailer. And there's a car and shopping trailer for his wife, Mrs. Potato Head. It's such fun to do and so easy. Like this. Take any fruit or vegetable. Just stick in eyes, then ears, and then the mouth. You can make the funniest looking people in the whole world. Potato Head people look different every time you make them. Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head with cars and trailers come in $1 and $2 sizes.
What else is new, Hasbro?
A vanity case with toy cosmetics and beautiful accessories and real-looking doctor and nurse kits.
Hasbro makes great toys. It's fun to play with Hasbro.
I can certainly tell you what Schlitz beer tastes like. It tastes like Schlitt. And I have to say, I remember a few years ago, back before we had the knowledge of the ages at our fingertips, I got into a debate with somebody telling them that Mr. Potato Head used real potatoes. And they're like, no. And I'm like, I'm telling you, when they first came out, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, you used the potato and you stuck the eyes and ears and nose. No, it's a plastic. So there you go. There you have it. So you start with a gender-neutral potato. So Kevin says, Mr. Potato Head using real potatoes. I've never heard about it. I have heard about it, but I'd never seen it. Yeah, it was funny. I just kind of stumbled across that. And it was like, damn it, I wish this, because it was like a pretty heated debate. And it was like, I'll tell you what, man, I'll bet you, $100. Alrighty. So Disavow 92 said they collect Schlitz beer from Budweiser Clydesdales. No, just from the urinals at the bar around the corner. That's where they get it. If I remember right, it has been a long time since I had Schlitz. I seem to recall it tasted more like a malt liquor. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but it tasted kind of malty to me. So John says their mom would have shot them if they used real potatoes. Hey, we got to eat that. Alrighty then. So tonight we are going to jump on in and take a first look at Pathfinder, Fists of the Ruby Phoenix from Paizo Inc. It is written by James Case, Louis Loza, and David N. Ross. This hardcover carries an MSRP of $54.99, where you can grab just the PDF for $38.99. $38.99? I might have mistyped that. It may be $39.99. Not positive. All right, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Fists of the Ruby Phoenix. A few things I do want to mention before we jump on in. First of all, the fine folks over at Paizo Inc. were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But of course, neither I nor anyone else affiliated with Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, it's important that you know that. Also, this is an adventure path, so if you are a player hoping your game master is going to run Fist of the Ruby Phoenix, I would definitely recommend tune out now. Although I'm going to stay spoiler-free when we look through it because I've only seen like the first chapter of this, and it has been quite some time. There's going to be some spoilers as we page through. So you don't want to ruin the experience of playing through this adventure path simply because you are hanging out watching this video. Having said that, though, you'll probably want to let your game master know about this video so you can get a better look at Fists of the Ruby Phoenix. So let's take a look at the back. Battle Royale. Prepare for the fight of your life. Martial artists. I was like, what? Like Mariel? What the hell is that? Martial artists, magic users, and misfits from around the globe meet in the arena for the world's greatest fighting competition, the Ruby Phoenix Tournament. Challengers can gain valuable rewards and enhanced reputations, or even obtain access to special opportunities and amazing new powers. But to reach the tournament's final bout and claim their place as grand champions, members of the party will need to defeat sinister rivals, survive perilous challenges, and overcome incredible odds. After all, only one team can win the grand prize, a priceless treasure from the vault of the Ruby Phoenix herself, the sorcerer Hao Jin. The Fist of the Ruby Phoenix Adventure Path is a complete campaign for 11th to 20th level characters. Christopher says, Wings of the Ruby Phoenix, Talons of the Ruby Phoenix, sure, but Fist? Must be some special techniques on display. So this was originally released as a 3-part adventure path. I recall sharing a video on the first chapter, and that was back at a time when things were kind of hit or miss as far as review copies of stuff from Paizo Inc., which thankfully we have ironed out. So pretty much anything that's part of the subscription plan for Pathfinder and Starfinder show up. But at this point in time, I got the first chapter, and then I didn't see the other 2. Which wasn't unusual. I would see like the first chapter of a 6-part adventure path, and then I'd see the finale. It'd be like, okay, so I've got part 1 and part 6. What am I going to do with that? So we got a lot of artists here. So give them a little bit of credit. So this is a campaign starting at level 11 for the player characters. So this is not an adventure path that kicks off with beginning characters, which I personally thought was kind of cool. In fact, the newest adventure path that just came out today, that you can actually get a preview with this month's Paizo preview video that I shared, that is also for higher level characters, and characters have to be 11th level. So Christopher says they are so happy that Paizo started collecting their adventure paths. I don't think they're doing it with all of them, but they are doing it with some of their more popular adventure paths, which Fist of the Ruby Phoenix is one, because it is a martial arts combat campaign. So the player characters are a group that are invited to this island to take part in this competition. And if memory serves me correctly, in the competition, the Ruby Phoenix is this famous adventurer. And she has all these treasures and magic items. And if your team wins, you actually get to select something from her treasure trove. So here we've got a breakdown of Danger Island, which is our first chapter. I don't remember it being called Welcome to Danger Island, though. Maybe it was. But for some reason, I think Danger Island was in the title, but for some reason, I'm not thinking it was Welcome to Danger Island. Uh-oh, Chungo! It's Danger Island! Oh, who out there is actually going to get that reference? Oh, I don't know. I don't know if anyone out there is going to get it. At least not anybody in chat. We shall see. No sorcerer on Golarion can boast more fame than Hao Jin, the Ruby Phoenix. Renowned for her interplanar travels and phoenix-like powers of self-resurrection, the source of her sobriquet, her name. Perhaps the only thing that can rival Hao Jin's fame is her vast collection of relics and artifacts. She accumulated these treasures over centuries in honor of her deity Abadar's reliquary of wonders, the first vault. Her ultimate goal in seeking such treasures was to achieve true immortality, but this destiny ever eludes her. So, we've got this tournament, and it is, if I remember right, I think it only takes place like every 10 years or something like that. So it's not a yearly thing. Maybe it's every 5 years. Right, so we are going to get some of the other contestants, because we have a variety of other teams that are taking part in this tournament. And once again, I'm trying to access the old memory banks here. I seem to remember that some of them are pretty friendly with the player characters. So they're friendly rivals. They're not enemies. Some are enemies. Some the players are going to go head to head against. And if I remember right, I think there's ways for you to spar against some of them as well. And some of them will like help you out. So the player characters get like their own like home base to utilize as well. So in this first chapter, there are various different locations where the teams will battle. And I think they're only allowed to fight in these specific areas. And that's where we're seeing some of these maps here. There you go. Despair on Danger Island. That was the title of this. Now, I have heard from players and game masters out there who really, really enjoyed this. So it is obviously enough going to be a far more combat-heavy adventure because it's a martial arts tournament. What do you expect? So I will take a stab in the dark that we're going to see the adventure chapters first. Oh, you know what? I can look right here. Yep. So we are going to get the adventure chapters. Oh, maybe not. I was going to say, I would think that we'd get the adventure chapters first, and then everything from the adventure toolboxes will be collected at the back of the book, but maybe not. Maybe that's not the case because the sidebar is showing just this part 1. No, it's not. It is showing part 2, ready, fight, and then part 3, King of the Mountain. So there we have the maps of the island and the ruins. So normally these would have been, I believe this was the inside of the front cover and this was the inside of the back cover. And then we get ready, fight, in search of sponsorship. What is this, NASCAR? Then we got the tournament and Rage of Mugaru. Now, we're going to be looking at something I know nothing about because, like I said, I did not have an opportunity to check this out. I do believe that this was the first Pathfinder 2nd Edition adventure that really embraced a lot of Asian themes and martial arts movie tropes. I don't want to say memes. Just like I believe not this current adventure path that just kicked off. I think the adventure path that's on the horizon for Pathfinder 2nd Edition is going to be very heavy into Pacific Island lore and mythology. Because I seem to recall running across something that was talking about that being on the relatively near horizon. And I know we've got some of the more recent Lost Omens books have focused quite a bit on Asian, Indian, and Pacific Island mythology. Actually, very, very cool. And we've seen a lot of the fashions with the artwork also. So this is the final chapter in the second part. Really like the artwork throughout. Very nicely done. That is very cool. I don't think that was the cover art for the final chapter. So we have Race to the Peak, Fragments of the Fractal Jungle, and Unmaking the Sculptor. So I think the tournament is now over. I think the tournament took place in the second chapter. That the player characters were prepping for that tournament, and the tournament took place in the second chapter, and now this is just some adventuring that has come about because of some of the events surrounding the tournament. So this is also broken up into 3 chapters. Each of these parts are broken up into 3 chapters. It's kind of an interesting costume there. It's pretty wild. But as you can see, even some of the creatures and monsters do have that Asian theme to them, or kind of Asian mythological style to them. Of course, I will have a review of this in the not so distant future. Okay, so that's kind of bizarre over here. It's like Suri. Got kind of a beak. Huh. And then Unmaking the Sculptor, which is going to wrap things up. At this point in time, player characters probably 19th, 20th level, somewhere in that vicinity. And then it looks like we've got some more maps. Oh, wow, that's pretty wild. So once again, inside cover, front, inside cover, back. Then we get our adventure toolbox. Campaign consequences. Talking about grand prize. Parting ways. Whether the player characters choose to retire from adventuring or continue their escapades, the people they've encountered have also been changed by the events of this Ruby Phoenix tournament. So it's kind of giving you some background on some of the, I guess, important NPCs. I like, that's kind of cool. I like the gnome druid. I like that character design. I think she's a gnome. Pretty sure she's a gnome. So we have the fighting roster. The different groups that the player characters are going to go up against. Here we go. We've got our player options. So we've got some new feats. Capstone feats. So we're talking level 20 there. Some new class feats. Got a few new items, some spells, and then we will see some weapons, and then we will get into the bestiary, which I believe is going to wrap this up. Kevin says, yes, Linny is a gnome. I thought she was. You kind of lose track when you're, going through all these different role-playing games. So, Anthony asks, does anyone know when the Pathfinder Airbender class is coming out? Maybe with that new revamped second edition series of books. So Mogaru, who I believe was our big bad at the end of the second part. There is a lot packed into this adventure path. And here we've got some of the important NPCs. A glossary and index, and then we will wrap up with our open game license and an ad for Dark Archive. So that is Pathfinder Fists of the Ruby Phoenix from Paizo Inc. Once again, this is for levels 11 to 20. It is a 3-part adventure path that has been collected in this hardcover. Hardcover is available now. I believe it came out, off the top of my head, I think it was last month. And it carries an MSRP of $54.99. Kevin points out they think the Kineticist is going to be in the upcoming Elements book. You know what? I thought I heard that too. We will find out, though. All right, let's swing on over to the other camera, and I will wrap things up. Sweet. Like I said, I will have a review of Fists of the Ruby Phoenix in the not-too-distant future. So those of you who have been watching this week, I had mentioned I wasn't sure if I was going to take next week off because each quarter I like to take a week off just to kind of recharge my batteries and things like that. I am going to be off next week, but that does not mean there will not be videos. There will be plenty of videos here on the channel. As far as changing the schedule to Tuesday through Thursday, that I have not decided on yet. So bouncing that around still because if you've been watching, I had mentioned it that my nephew's schedule, he now has Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday off. So I'm trying to maybe do Tuesday through Thursday so I can do some gaming with him on Monday nights. And I really want to run a fantasy role-playing campaign. So try to do what I could do. And of course, play other games too. I think we're probably looking at doing Castles and Crusades, and I will run a classic AD&D adventure I'm up in the air. Maybe might be Temple of Elemental Evil. Might just go D&D. I might go Isle of Dread, maybe. I don't know. But every other week, do that. Maybe every other week on those off weeks, play some board games and things like that. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on. But I will be off next week. And then, of course, if I am changing the schedule, I will definitely let you know on the community page here on YouTube. I will also inform you on Twitter if you happen to follow me on Twitter at The Gaming Gang, or if you follow me on Facebook, which I just auto post on Facebook. I really don't invest any time into Facebook because they want you to pay for people who follow your page to actually get your posts. Yeah. So I don't bother with that. But I will announce it there as well. But like I said, don't know yet. But when I do return, we are going to have Cyberpunk Red Week. That's right. We're going to be looking at the Cyberpunk Red core rulebook and some of the Cyberpunk Red releases from our Telsorian Games. So stay tuned for that. All right, that is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ding that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the dispatch streams live here on YouTube, it'll also inform you when I upload other videos, such as my recent review of Pathfinder Treasure Vault from Paizo Inc. and the Paizo Preview, and my first look at the first 3 adventures for Dungeon Crawl Classics Dying Earth. So stay tuned. Got more stuff hitting in the next few days as well. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you're watching live and took part in chat, a bigger thank you, because not only do you get to keep me company, you keep each other company while I'm babbling on about other things. But of course, I know a lot of you out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. I really do appreciate each and every one of you taking time out of your lives to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. Everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Once again, I will be off next week, but there will be videos. There will be blood. Now, they'll just be videos. And I will be back the week after that. So I'll see you next month, I guess I shall say. And of course, until I see you next time, here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
Oh, hey, you're still here. That's okay. You don't have to leave just yet. In fact, why don't you subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel right here, or take a peek at the latest live stream, or even find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks again for watching.